So I have been talking about this trip to Rome now until I'm sure everybody is sick of it. But one of the things that I have to do in trying to get there, because I do want this to be a trip about taking photography as well as visiting particular churches. And so I have to make a decision about the equipment that I'm taking. Now, I ran off from the house and forgot my tripod, but I do have a Peak Design travel tripod, and I have a Peak Design sling bag that it attaches to. It would hold my camera, all of that. The problem is it doesn't have a strap on it wide enough for my DJI Pocket 3, which I want to be able to wear in front of me to video as I'm walking, which means that I have to take my pack-safe bag. The DJI Pocket 3 fits into this case here, kind of like this, so that you've got all of the buttons here in between, and then it slides back into these little grooves. You got to kind of pinch it together. This little piece then screws back in, and you have it attached. And that brings me to my camera, which I have a plate on the bottom that fits on my tripod, but it won't work for what I want to do with the PlatyPod. The PlatyPod is designed pretty simply. It has a nice little plate that goes on the bottom of your camera. I have the PlatyBall ball head. You can use any ball head you want, but I did buy the PlatyBall from the PlatyPod company to do this. And then all you have to do is put this inside the ball head plate, tighten it up. Get a little tighter than that. Tighten it up, and then you can use the ball head to angle your camera any way you want to, and just use this little button right here to tighten it up. It's not moving. Now, all of this is quite heavy, quite big, and I've been looking for a way to lighten the load. And so one of the things that I need to do is get rid of the PlatyBall ball head. This is really, really heavy. And so I began to look for something else, and that something else turned out to be this little tiny Ulanzi ball head. I wanted you to look at the difference between these two. Now, this will hold way more than my camera. I could probably swing off the rafters with this. This will hold up to 5 pounds. My camera, with its heaviest lens, is only about 3 pounds. So the difficulty with this ball head is it doesn't fit on the PlatyPod, because it's designed to fit like on the Ulanzi MT79 that I'm using to hold my phone. And that's where this little plate right here comes back in, because it has a screw on top that fits the ball head. And if I just screw this onto the base of the PlatyPod, then I can screw this onto the top of the base there. Now I have a ball head that is considerably smaller than what I had before. So this has a plate on the bottom that comes out and attaches to the bottom of the camera. And it requires an Allen wrench to tighten it up, And luckily, I carry an Allen wrench with me everywhere I go. So we're just going to tighten this up. And then this just slides in here. And you can tighten it up. And it has this nice little red piece here that you can really crank it down and tighten it even tighter. And let me just tighten everything back up here on the PlatyBall, or on the PlatyPod. And I have a screw on the side here that will allow me to move the ball head any way I want. Typically it's going to look like this. So here's the thing about choosing to go with the PlatyPod. I've got about two shots, that I think I might want a tripod. And yet in both of those shots, I have places I could set the PlatyPod, and I don't have to carry the tripod with me at all. And I don't have to worry about it. By not carrying the tripod, I can carry all of my camera equipment I need daily in the pack safe bag, and I don't need my camera sling bag. So with this setup, I can use this inside a cathedral, a museum, any other place that I'm inside that does not allow tripods. They have never stopped people from using a PlatyPod. And so you can just set this down on the floor, angle it up, and get that wonderful, beautiful, dramatic shot of the inside of a cathedral. And that's one of the reasons why I bought this Canon 10 to 20 millimeter lens, because it's the widest lens I've ever shot with. And it will give me, I normally shoot at 15 millimeter, and I could set this at 15 and shoot just like I've always shot. Or I could set it at 20, which is a really good shot for just walking around downtown. Or I can set it at 10 to get this wildly dramatic look. And because it's on the PlatyPod and it's so lightweight, I could carry this around like this all day long. I don't have to worry about taking this off, putting it away. I could, but I could just leave it like this, and anywhere I go, I can just set this down and be ready to shoot. Especially if I wanted to take a picture with me in it and set it on a 10-second timer, I just put this on the ground, get in the shot, wait for it to go off. End of story. And one other piece that I've bought to go with this, let me just pull this back off again, just so I can kind of show you what I'm talking about. Set that down. PlatyPod makes an extension tube so that if this is too close to the ground, all I've got to do is screw this in, put this back on top, screw the ball head in, and I'm higher. If that's not enough, I can extend it. So I can get some height to the PlatyPod and not just have it sitting somewhere at whatever level it is I have it sitting on. And again, this takes up little to no room at all. This just goes right here on top, and now I've got the exact same setup, just a little higher up off the ground. And with this, I may be ready for my photography trip to Rome. However, I do have two more of these ball heads coming, different styles, because I want to make sure that I have exactly the one that I want that's easiest to work with. And so, you know, but they're all about this size. They all weigh about this much, which is nothing. And so I think I'm ready. And if I just screw that down onto the PlatyPod, I'm going to let this jet go over. And with that, I may be ready. I'm going to wait for this jet to fly back over again. So let me just start this little ending monologue. First of all, thanking all of you who wished me a happy Father's Day yesterday. It was very nice to see, and I really appreciate you taking the time to recognize that. A couple of things about this particular video. So I had in mind this was at Booker T. Washington State Park, and when I got there, the only place that wasn't just filled with people out either walking or fishing or whatever was this sort of playground area with this pool that it's been abandoned. And the building is sort of weathered and, gnarly looking. And so I thought, okay, the distance between my car and the picnic table was about 30 feet. So instead of just going there, I did this big long walk around to get these other pieces in my shot. And my original thinking was, I'll start this off in black and white and then slowly fade to color. And I tried that in the edit, and it did not work. And I think the reason it didn't work is because where I had the camera set up, you couldn't really tell just how weathered all of this looked, how old it looked. It would look great in black and white, beautiful in black and white. And I will plan another video there. I now know in my head what I should have done. And I'll plan another video there to make part of that video in black and white, or maybe the whole thing in black and white. I don't know. So I did this big long walk around, knowing that I was going to put some narration under it. What I didn't realize was that my narration was going to wind up being so long after it. But I kept doing little bits of what I wanted to say, and then I would get up off the picnic table and I would move my camera. And then I would sit back down, I would say the next line, and I'd get up and move it again. And I wound up sort of punching in a lot in the edit. I had the camera set back for some shots. It was so far back you couldn't really see what I was doing or talking about. So I had to zoom in. And the video, the technical aspect of the video did not turn out anything like what I had sort of thought in my head. That said, I was kind of struggling today about, what would I even do a video about? And I've come to realize that on days like that, my fallback is to talk about my trip to Rome. And it's a long time till November. So I don't know how many of those will come about. I have had some people ask, over a long period of time in the comments, they've asked for sort of a look at the behind the scenes of the editing process and all that. And I think that may be tomorrow's video, is to shoot some scenes and then take you through the process of how I edit those together in DaVinci Resolve, how they kind of flow together and how I make my decisions. It's nothing. It's not really that exciting, but I think it would answer a lot of questions to do that. So I will say just one last thing, and then I promise I won't continue to talk about the audio, but I have had this microphone under my shirt, and it worked beautifully today all the way through. Again, I'm using the microphone with that little piece of felt on it and the AI noise reduction turned on. I've got it turned on that way now as I'm talking, and it just seems to work really, really well. I have ordered a new set of microphones that should be in soon, only because they have the cover, the soft cover built into them. And I haven't ordered them before because I only ever thought about wearing them on the outside of my shirt, and they just look ugly. But they may fit under my shirt beautifully, so we'll see. I'm buying a lot of equipment just to try out, because it's cheap, and some of it works and some of it doesn't. And that's kind of where this ball head that I looked at today is not the same ball head that I put on top of the MT79. It's a totally different ball head that I bought specifically to put under my camera. There is another piece from PlatyPod that I just ordered that is a phone holder to fit on the PlatyPod. so that maybe when I'm in Rome, I don't need any of this extra equipment. I don't need the MT79. I don't need the ManusPod Z. I don't need my little credit card holder. I just clip this onto the PlatyPod, take the video I want to take, and move on. We'll see. Oh gosh, I've talked way too much. Yeah, so we'll see you tomorrow.